T.I. is done for. People are saying he orchestrated the entire war with 50 Cent, not because he had real smoke, but to cover up the biggest embarrassment Atlanta hip-hop has seen in years. And once you hear WHY, the whole game looks different. This is calculated chaos. Everybody thought they understood this situation. T.I. came out swinging at 50 Cent. He went on Shannon Sharp. He called Curtis soft. He said 50 was ducking smoke. His own son Domani got in on it. The whole Harris family was going at the head of G-Unit like it was personal. And for a moment, Atlanta was behind him. 1000%. But now, a brand new interview just surfaced. New Jersey rapper Albee sat down with Jim Jones on the Artist to Artist podcast. And he said something that flipped this entire narrative on its head. He said T.I. didn't do this for himself. He did it to save Atlanta's reputation after 21 Savage and Young Thug nearly boned it to the ground. Let me break this down for you, because once you see all the pieces lined up, it's hard to unsee. Rewind to late last year. 21 Savage drops his album, What Happened to the Streets? And folks, that project landed with a thud. Critics weren't kind. The fans weren't kind. Social media tore it apart. Lackluster bars. No energy. No hunger. People were calling it one of the most disappointing drops of the entire year. And this is 21 Savage we're talking about. A man who built his whole brand on being cold, ruthless, unapologetic. Then, right after that album flopped, 21 Savage makes a statement that shook the entire culture. F the streets. 2 words. That's all it took. He typed it out. He posted it. He co-signed it with Young Thug. And the internet lost its mind. Because what was the context behind those 2 words? It wasn't just a random rant. It was reportedly tied to an effort, an actual coordinated effort, to rekindle a public relationship with Gunna. The same Gunna who cooperated with the prosecution in the YSL RICO case. The same Gunna who a massive portion of the hip-hop world already labeled a rat. The same Gunna that Young Thug's own associates publicly distanced themselves from. And now, 21 Savage and Young Thug were allegedly trying to bring him back into the fold, to do collaborations, to act like nothing happened. People were furious. Think about it. Just 6 months before this, the culture was shaming Gunna into exile. People were pulling up receipts. They were dissecting plea deals. They were saying this man violated every code the streets ever wrote. And now, 2 of Atlanta's biggest names were saying, nah, we good. Let's squash it. And Albee made this point crystal clear on the podcast. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, 21 typed that statement out. He read it again. He revised it. He hit send. That wasn't off the cuff. That man meant every syllable. He's right. This wasn't a freestyle. This wasn't a hot take in the middle of an Instagram live. This was a calculated, written, published statement. And the backlash? It was immediate. You had Blueface going off on 21 Savage. You had OGs from every coast chiming in. Street dudes, internet commentators, podcasters. Everybody was confused and disgusted. The consensus was simple. You can't build your entire career on being savage, on being the embodiment of the streets, and then publicly say F the streets because your album didn't sell. 21 tried to walk it back. He went on camera and said, nah, I said save the streets. Save, not F. Save. He literally tried to rewrite history in real time. He cleared his throat on camera, corrected himself, and tried to act like the internet misheard him. But we all saw the post. We all read the words. And nobody was buying it. Now, here's where T.I. enters the picture. And once you understand the timeline, you'll see exactly why Albee's theory makes so much sense. Let's talk about motive, because this is where everything clicks into place like dominoes falling in slow motion. Atlanta, at the time of the F the Streets movement, was under siege. Not from the feds, not from rival cities, from its own people. The juggernauts of Atlanta rap, the guys who were supposed to be carrying the torch, were looking, in the eyes of the culture, compromised. Young Thug had just come home from a RICO case that tore YSL apart. His reputation was already fractured. People were whispering about cooperation. People were debating whether Thug himself had done things behind closed doors. Fair or not, the whispers were loud. 21 Savage was hemorrhaging credibility. His album underperformed. His public statements were getting clowned. The F the Streets post made him look disconnected from the very fan base that elevated him. And Gunna, Gunna was actually outselling both of them. That's the pot that burned. The guy the culture rejected was winning commercially. His streams were up. His album sales from the prior year were solid. Concert revenue was healthy. Gunna didn't need 21 or Thug. They needed him. And when they reached out, he basically shrugged. Remember that clip of Gunna on stage? He didn't even dignify the situation with a formal response. He just rapped his bars a cappella. Why the broke the loudest in the room? Why all of a sudden everybody wanna be cool? Cold. He didn't chase reconciliation. He performed. He let the music speak. And that made 21 and Thug look even more desperate. So picture this. You're T.I. You're the king of the South. You built Atlanta's reputation in hip-hop. You went bar for bar with the best. You survived federal cases. You came out the other side still respected. And now you're watching your city's current standard bearers fumble the legacy. Publicly. Embarrassingly. On a global stage. Albee said it plain as day on that podcast. T.I. felt like Atlanta was under fire. The so-called juggernauts from his city were looking soft. Were looking compromised. Were looking like they were willing to embrace a known cooperator just to get some streams back. So what does T.I. do? He picks a fight with the biggest name he can find. Not just any name. Kate is 50 Cent Jackson. A man from Queens, New York. A man who represents East Coast dominance. A man who the entire hip-hop world respects. Or at least fears. And T.I. goes on Shannon Sharpe's podcast. And he pokes the bear. He calls 50 soft. He says 50 is ducking a Verzuz. He says Atlanta will eat New York alive. And just like that, the conversation shifts. Nobody's talking about F the streets anymore. Nobody's debating whether 21 Savage is washed. Nobody's clowning Young Thug's credibility. Because now, the entire internet is focused on one thing. T.I. versus 50 Cent. That's not an accident. That's a play. Albee breaks it down on the podcast and says he bombed the tri-state. All because his little guys, the ones holding the torch, they were looking bad. So T.I. said, nah, Atlanta got something to say. Y'all ain't gonna disrespect my city. And the thing is, it worked. For a while, Atlanta rallied behind T.I. immediately. The disses he threw at 50 Cent were getting millions of views. People were making compilations. Memes were flying. The Harris family was in full attack mode. Damani was posting. King Harris was talking crazy. It was a family affair. And the beauty of it, from a strategic standpoint, is that coming at 50 Cent requires audacity. It requires a certain level of fearlessness that the culture respects. You don't just casually challenge Curtis Jackson. That man has ended careers with Instagram posts alone. So T.I. stepping to 50, regardless of the outcome, made Atlanta look tough again. It made the city look like it still had that energy, that fight, that come-and-get-it attitude. But here's the part that really hits different. If this theory holds any weight, then think about what that means for the people caught in the crossfire. 50 Cent didn't ask for any of this. The man was out here building his empire, producing shows, running businesses, living his life, and out of nowhere, T.I. and his entire family come at him like he did something personal. 50 had to respond. He had to address it. He had to dedicate time, energy, and social media bandwidth to something that allegedly had nothing to do with him at all. He was a prop. Let that sit for a second. One of the most influential figures in hip-hop history was allegedly used as a prop in a PR stunt designed to distract the world from 21 Savage's fumble and Young Thug's damaged reputation. That's wild. And then there's Gunna. Say what you want about the man's legal decisions. He's still a human being sitting in the middle of a situation where people are publicly debating whether or not to associate with him. Like he's some kind of chess piece. People reaching out to him not because they genuinely care about reconciliation, but because the algorithm demands it, because the streams dried up, because the tour numbers aren't hitting like they used to. Gunna saw through it. That's why he didn't respond with a formal statement. He just performed. He didn't give them the satisfaction of a reaction. And honestly, that's the most dignified move anyone made in this entire saga. And let's not forget the fans. The culture. The people who genuinely love hip-hop and were invested in these stories. They gave their time, their engagement, their emotional energy, debating, defending, arguing in comment sections and group chats. And if Albee is right, all of that was manufactured. Every heated debate about T.I. versus 50, every prediction about a potential Verzuz, Every clip analyzed and reshared was smoke and mirrors, designed to hide the fact that Atlanta's current torchbearers allegedly tried to rehabilitate a cooperating witness's image, just to boost their own declining relevance. That doesn't just sting for the fans, that stings for the culture. Now, let's talk about what actually happened, because here's the thing. Even if this was a masterful distraction, it didn't land the way it was supposed to. Let's keep it real. The T.I. versus 50 Cent situation fizzled. It didn't explode into a Verzuz. It didn't produce a legendary diss track exchange. It didn't become one of those moments that hip-hop fans talk about for decades. It was fireworks for a week, then silence. 50 Cent did what 50 Cent always does. He laughed. He posted a few memes. He moved on, because Curtis Jackson has been in enough beefs to know when someone is swinging just to be seen. He didn't validate T.I. with a full-scale war. He gave him just enough attention to let the internet have its fun, and then went back to producing power spin-offs and collecting checks. And that left T.I. in a weird position, because once 50 stopped engaging, what was left? No Verzuz, no diss records, no viral confrontation, just T.I. standing in the ring alone, shadowboxing. His son Domani dropped some bars aimed at 50. King Harris talked his talk online, but none of it generated the long-term engagement they needed. The content cycle moved on. New beefs popped up. New drama surfaced. And the T.I. 50 Cent chapter quietly closed without a climax. And here's the really painful part. While T.I. was allegedly trying to distract the world from 21 Savage and Young Thug's situation, the world moved on from that too, but not in the way they wanted. Nobody forgot about F the streets. They just stopped caring. That's worse, because when people are angry about something you said, at least they're engaged. At least they're paying attention. But when they stop caring altogether, when they shrug and move on, that means you're becoming irrelevant. And irrelevance in hip-hop is a death sentence that no amount of beef can resurrect you from. 21 Savage's music still isn't generating the kind of buzz it used to. People aren't running to the streaming platforms when he drops. The anticipation isn't there. The hunger from the fan base has cooled significantly. Young Thug, coming off a case that drained him personally and professionally, hasn't been able to recapture the magic. The whispers about cooperation still hang over his head, whether they're fair or not. And every time someone brings up YSL, the conversation inevitably circles back to Gunna and the plea deal. And Gunna is just out here, making music, doing numbers, not engaging with the drama, not begging for reconciliation. If anything, the whole F the streets fiasco and the attempted outreach made Gunna look like the most composed person in the entire equation. So you have to ask yourself, who actually won here? T.I. got a temporary buzz, a few weeks of relevance, some clips that circulated, but no lasting impact. 21 Savage got a brief reprieve from the F the streets backlash, only to be right back where he started, with declining interest and a fractured street credibility. Young Thug is still navigating post-trial life with an audience that's skeptical and a market that's moved on to newer artists. And 50 Cent. 50 didn't lose a single thing. Not one thing. He was minding his business before. He went right back to minding his business after. If anything, T.I. coming at him just reminded the world how untouchable Curtis really is. You can't rattle a man who's been shot 9 times and turned it into a brand. Meanwhile, Albee is on Jim Jones' podcast, breaking down the whole strategic play. And Jim is sitting there nodding, because the OGs see through it. The industry veterans understand the mechanics of distraction campaigns. They've seen it before, and they'll see it again. The question isn't whether T.I. was strategic enough to cook up a plan like this. The question is whether anyone actually benefited in the end. And from where we're standing, the answer is a cold, definitive no. And this whole thing gets even deeper when you zoom out and look at the broader chessboard. Think about what Albee specifically said about these artists and their relationship to the streets. He made a point that a lot of people glossed over, but is actually critical to understanding this whole situation. He said, and listen to this carefully, these dudes were really nobodies in the hood. They just popped because they had talent. Now they're on top, and they think that makes them the boss. That's a loaded statement, because what he's really saying is the foundation was never solid. The street credibility that 21 Savage and Young Thug built their entire careers on was always performance. It was always image. And the moment the pressure got real, the image cracked. He compared it to his own experience. He said he's got people in his circle who will push back, who will challenge him, who will say, nah, we're not doing that. But these guys, he's saying they surrounded themselves with yes men, people who co-signed every decision, people who let them post F the streets without saying, bro, maybe reconsider. And that's a fundamental problem in hip-hop right now, the echo chambers. When you're an artist generating millions of dollars, pulling in hundreds of thousands per show, everybody around you has an incentive to agree with you. Nobody wants to be the person who challenges the cash cow. So bad decisions get amplified instead of corrected. 21 Savage types out a statement that alienates his core audience, and nobody in his circle says, hey man, that might not land well. Young Thug co-signs a reconciliation with a cooperating witness, and nobody pumps the brakes. And then when the fallout hits, the same team that said nothing is nowhere to be found with solutions. Jim Jones, sitting there on that podcast, had one of the best reactions. He just listened. He nodded. He acknowledged the point. Because Jim has been in this game long enough to know that authenticity is the only currency that doesn't depreciate. You can fake streams. You can manufacture beefs. You can orchestrate PR campaigns. But you cannot fake genuine street respect. You either have it or you don't. And once you publicly compromise it, no amount of 50-cent disses can bring it back. And let me throw one more angle at you. Albee also brought up the Verzuz component. He said if T.I. were to actually do a Verzuz with someone from New York, he'd put Jadakiss on him. And he was dead serious. He said Jada is the 4-time MVP of the Verzuz format. That nobody wants smoke with Kiss. Now why is that relevant? Because it shows that even the people who are supposedly defending New York don't see T's challenge as genuine. They see it as theater. They are not threatened. They are amused. They are picking who would embarrass T.I. the worst if it ever actually happened. That's how hollow the whole thing reportedly was. Even the opposition didn't take it seriously enough to get upset. They treated it like entertainment, like a sideshow. And that might be the most devastating takeaway of all. And this story is still unfolding with way bigger implications than just one beef. What we're seeing here is a new era of manufactured conflict in hip-hop. And it's something the culture needs to talk about. Because if Albee's theory holds water, and a lot of people in the industry seem to agree, then we have to ask ourselves a harder question. How much of what we consume is real? How many beefs are organic? How many are strategic? How many diss tracks are born from genuine anger versus a marketing team sitting in a conference room saying, we need engagement this quarter? That's the bigger conversation. And it's not just about T.I. It's about a system that incentivizes drama over substance. A system where starting a public fight generates more revenue than dropping a classic album. Where negative attention pays more than positive creation. Think about the economics for a second. T's music wasn't charting. His brand wasn't generating the kind of buzz it used to. But the moment he started targeting 50 Cent, every blog picked it up. Every YouTube channel covered it. Every podcast debated it. His name was trending again. That's the game now. You don't need a hit record. You need a hit controversy. And the people who suffer the most? The fans. Because they are investing real emotion into situations that are allegedly choreographed. They are arguing with strangers online over beefs that were designed in boardrooms. They are defending artists who are playing characters. It's pro wrestling without the transparency. At least in wrestling, everyone knows it's a show. In hip-hop, the illusion of authenticity is the product itself. And when that illusion breaks, when someone like Albee pulls the curtain back and says this was a distraction campaign, it forces the audience to recalibrate everything they believed. Every passionate defense of T.I. against 50. Every think piece about Atlanta versus New York. Every prediction about a Verzuz that was never going to happen. All of it, allegedly, was noise designed to drown out a different, uglier conversation. And that's not just disappointing. That's a fundamental shift in how we need to process information in hip-hop culture. We need to start asking who benefits from this story before we pick a side. We need to look at the timing, the context, the pattern, because if this taught us anything, it's that the loudest beef in the room might be the one with the least amount of truth behind it. So where does everyone go from here? Let's run it down. T.I. is in a strange place. The 50 Cent smoke is done. It didn't produce a Verzuz. It didn't produce a cultural moment. It produced noise that evaporated. And now people are openly questioning his motives thanks to this Albee interview. If T.I. can't generate organic buzz around his music or his brand without manufacturing conflict, then the clock is ticking on his relevance in a way that no amount of interviews can fix. 21 Savage needs a resurrection, not a PR pivot, not a rebrand, a genuine, undeniable body of work that reminds people why they fell in love with his music in the first place. Because right now, the narrative around him is confusion, backtracking, mixed messages. The Save the Streets correction was embarrassing. The attempted Gunna reconciliation was embarrassing. And no amount of somebody else's beef can erase that. Young Thug faces the steepest climb of all. Post-trial, post-controversy, post-F the streets. The audience is watching with skepticism. Every move he makes will be scrutinized. Every collaboration will be questioned. Every public statement will be analyzed for authenticity. And Gunna might be the strangest success story in all of this. The man the culture rejected is quietly winning. He didn't engage with the drama. He didn't beg for reconciliation. He performed his bars and let the numbers speak. And right now, his numbers are speaking louder than anyone else in this entire equation. There's a lesson buried in there somewhere. Sometimes, the best move in the middle of chaos is no move at all. Just silence, just work, just music. But will anyone learn that lesson? History suggests no, because the next manufactured beef is probably already being planned. The next distraction is already being loaded into the chamber. And the next time someone comes at a megastar out of nowhere, we need to stop and ask ourselves one question. Who is this really protecting? Stay locked in, because this story is nowhere near finished. Albee opened a door that a lot of industry people are going to walk through. More interviews are coming. More perspectives are going to surface. And if the pattern holds, somebody close to T's camp is eventually going to respond. Because allegations like this, they don't stay in a vacuum. They spread. They grow. They demand answers. So drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Do you think T.I. really orchestrated the 50 Cent beef just to cover for 21 Savage and Young Thug? Or is Albee just stirring the pot for his own clout? And the bigger question, does it even matter anymore? Because regardless of the motive, nobody won. The beef fizzled. The music isn't charting. The credibility is fractured. And the culture moved on. I want to hear how y'all really feel about this, because the comment section on this one is about to be a battlefield. If you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update. We cover every twist, every development, every leaked clip and podcast moment as soon as it drops. And smash that like button. I'm serious. That like button is the single biggest thing you can do to support this channel. It tells the algorithm to push this video to more people. And the more people see it, the bigger this conversation gets. I appreciate every single one of you for rocking with me through this breakdown. Every view, every comment, every share, it means everything. And one last thing before I go. In a world full of manufactured drama and calculated controversy, stay sharp, question the narratives, look at the timing, follow the motives. Because in hip-hop, the real story is almost never the one they want you to see. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there.